Hello and welcome to the 159th episode of Scripture in a Year, hosted by Saints Peter and Paul Orthodox Church in the Albanian Archdiocese of the OCA. Today's reading is from the book of Proverbs, chapters 9 through 12. Wisdom built her house, and she supported it with 7 pillars. She offered her sacrifices, she mixed her wine in a bowl and prepared her table. She sent her servants, inviting people to the bowl with a lofty proclamation, saying, "He who is without discernment, let him turn aside to me." And to those in need of discernment, she says, "Come, eat my bread, and drink the wine I mixed for you. Forsake lack of discernment, and you shall live. Seek discernment so you may live, and keep straight your understanding with knowledge. He who chastises evil men shall receive dishonor to himself, and he who reproves the ungodly man shall be blamed himself. Do not reprove evil men, so they may not hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give the opportunity to a wise man, and he will be wiser. Instruct a righteous man, and he shall continue to receive it. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the counsel of saints is understanding. For to know the law is characteristic of a good mind, for in this manner you will live a long time, and the years of your life shall be increased. My son, if you become wise in yourself, you shall also be wise toward your neighbor. But if you prove to be evil, you alone will go through troubles. He who supports himself with lies will shepherd winds and chase flying birds. For he abandoned the ways of his own vineyard, and strayed from the paths of his own farming. And he will pass through a waterless desert, a land assigned to drought, and he gathers barrenness with his hands. A woman in need of a morsel is without discernment and overbold. She has no sense of shame. She sits upon the doors of her own house, upon a seat openly in the streets, calling to those who pass by, and who go straight along their paths. He who is very lacking in discernment, let him turn aside to me. And he who is in need of discernment, I exhort, saying, grasp with pleasure the secret bread and the sweet water of theft. But he does not know that the inhabitants of the earth perish beside her, and he happens upon a snare of Hades. But hurry off, and do not continue in that place. Neither set your eye toward her, for so you shall pass through strange water, and cross beyond a strange river, and keep away from strange water, and do not drink from a strange fountain, that you may live a long time, and add years of life to yourself. A wise son makes his father glad, but a son without discernment is a grief to his mother. Treasures do not befit lawless men, but righteousness delivers from death. The Lord will not let the soul of the righteous man starve, but he overthrows the life of the ungodly. Poverty humbles a man, but the hands of courageous men enrich others. A son who is instructed will be wise, and he will use a man without discernment as a servant. A son with understanding is kept safe from the heat, but a lawless son is blasted by the wind at harvest time. The blessing of the Lord is upon the head of a righteous man, but untimely grief will cover the mouth of the ungodly. The remembrance of the righteous is with eulogies, but the name of an ungodly man is extinguished. The wise man in heart will receive the commandments, but the man unguarded in speech will be overthrown in his perverseness. He who walks in sincerity walks confidently, but he who perverts his ways will be known. He who winks his eyes deceitfully gathers grief for men, but he who reproves boldly is a peacemaker. A fountain of life is in the hand of a righteous man, but the mouth of an ungodly man will hide destruction. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all who are not lovers of strife. He who brings forth wisdom from his lips beats a heartless man with a rod. The wise will hide perception, but the mouth of a rash man approaches destruction. The acquisition of riches is a fortified city, but poverty is the destruction of the ungodly. The works of the righteous produce life, but the fruits of the ungodly produce sins. Instruction guards righteous ways of life, but instruction incapable of criticism goes astray. Righteous lips cover hatred, but those who bring forth abuse are very lacking in discernment. You will not escape sin by a multitude of words, but you of discreet lips will be forbearing. The tongue of a righteous man is silver tried in the fire, but the heart of an ungodly man shall fail. The lips of righteous men understand lofty things, but men without discernment die in want. The blessing of the Lord is upon the head of a righteous man. It enriches him, and grief of heart will not be added to it. A man without discernment does evil things with laughter, but wisdom gives birth to discernment in a man. The ungodly man is carried about in destruction, but the desire of the righteous man is acceptable. The ungodly man is destroyed by the passing storm, but the righteous man turns aside and shall be saved forever. As an unripe grape is harmful to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is a lawless woman to the men who use her. The fear of the Lord increases days, but the years of the ungodly will be shortened. Gladness continues for the righteous, but the hope of the ungodly perishes. The fear of the Lord is the stronghold of a holy man, but destruction is for those who work evil. A righteous man will never fail, but the ungodly shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of a righteous man distills wisdom, but the tongue of an unrighteous man utterly destroys. The lips of righteous men distill grace, but the mouth of the ungodly is perverse. Deceitful scales are an abomination before the Lord, but a righteous weight is acceptable to him. Wherever arrogance enters, there also is dishonor, but the mouth of the humble meditates on wisdom. When a righteous man dies, he leaves regret, but the destruction of the ungodly is immediate and brings joy. Righteousness cuts straight and blameless paths, but ungodliness embraces wrongdoing. The righteousness of upright men delivers them, but lawless men are taken to their destruction. When a righteous man dies, his hope does not perish, but the boast of the ungodly perishes. A righteous man escapes from a snare, but the ungodly man is handed over in his place. There is a snare for citizens in the mouth of the ungodly, but the perception of the righteous is prosperous. A city stays upright in the good things of the righteous, but it is razed to the ground by the mouths of the ungodly. A man in need of discernment treats citizens with contempt, but a man of discernment keeps quiet. A double-tongued man reveals deliberations heard in council, but a man faithful in spirit conceals matters. Those for whom there is no leadership fall like leaves, but there is salvation in much counsel. A wicked man does evil whenever he meets a righteous man, and he hates the sound of stability. A thankful woman raises up glory to her husband, but a throne of dishonor is a woman who hates righteousness. Lazy men are in need of wealth, but courageous men support themselves with wealth. A merciful man does good to his soul, but an unmerciful man utterly destroys his body. An ungodly man does unrighteous works, but the seed of the righteous is a reward of truth. A righteous son is begotten unto life, but the persecution of an ungodly man is unto death. Perverse ways are an abomination to the Lord, but all who are blameless in their ways are acceptable to him. He who joins hands with the unrighteous will not go unpunished, but he who sows righteousness will receive a faithful reward. Like a ring in the nose of a wild swine, so is beauty to an evil-minded woman. Every desire of the righteous is good, but the hope of the ungodly is destruction. There are those who sow their own things and produce more things, and there are those who gather but have less. Every sincere soul is blessed, but an angry man is not graceful. May the one who hoards grain leave it to the nations, but may blessings be upon the head of the one who shares it. He who plans good things seeks good grace, but he who seeks evil, it will capture him. He who trusts in riches, this man will fall, but he who helps the righteous, this man will rise. He who does not deal graciously with his own house will inherit the wind, and a man without discernment will be a servant to one with discernment. A tree of life springs up from the fruit of righteousness, but the souls of the lawless will be taken away before their time. If the righteous man is scarcely saved, then where shall an ungodly man and a sinner appear? He who loves instruction loves perception, but he who hates correction is without discernment. He who finds grace from the Lord becomes better, but a lawless man will be passed over in silence. A man will not prosper by lawlessness, but the roots of righteous men will not be pulled out. A courageous wife is a crown to her husband, but as a worm in a tree, so an evil-doing wife destroys her husband. The thoughts of the righteous are judgments, but the ungodly devise deceits. The words of the ungodly are deceitful, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. If he does not turn, an ungodly man is destroyed, but the houses of the righteous remain. The mouth of a man of understanding is praised by a man, but the slothful of heart are treated with contempt. It is better for a man in dishonor to serve himself than for him to surround himself with honor while in need of bread. A righteous man has compassion on the lives of his cattle, but the affections of the ungodly are without mercy. He who works his own land will be satisfied with bread, but those who pursue vain things are in need of discernment. He who is gladdened by wines in passing his time shall leave dishonor in his own strongholds. The desires of the ungodly are evil, but the roots of the godly are in strongholds. By the sin of his lips a sinner falls into snares, but a righteous man escapes from them. He whose looks are gentle will show mercy, but he who contends in the gates will afflict souls. By the fruits of his mouth the soul of a man will be filled with good things, and the recompense of his lips will be given to him. The ways of undiscerning men are right in their own eyes, but a wise man hearkens to counsels. A man without discernment immediately proclaims his wrath, but an astute man hides his own dishonor. A righteous man declares his honesty openly, but the witness of the unrighteous is deceitful. There are those who wound with a sword as they speak, but the tongues of the wise heal. Truthful lips establish a testimony, but a hasty witness has an unrighteous tongue. There is deceit in the heart of a man who devises evil things, but those who counsel peace shall be glad. Nothing unrighteous will ever be pleasing to the righteous, but the ungodly will be filled with evil things. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but he who shows faithfulness is acceptable to him. A man of understanding is a throne of perception, but the heart of the undiscerning will meet with curses. The hand of the chosen shall prevail easily, but the deceitful shall be for captivity. A fearful word troubles the heart of a righteous man, but a good message makes him glad. A righteous arbiter shall be his own friend, but the decisions of the ungodly are unreasonable. Evil things shall pursue sinners, and the way of the ungodly will lead them astray. A deceitful man will not gain his prey, but a pure man is a precious possession. In the ways of righteousness there is life, but the ways of remembering wrongs are unto death. Here ends the reading for today.